everybody, it's Emily at ARC Schooling, and today I want to talk about spring new releases that I'm excited about. I've already done a video talking about winter new releases, so I thought now I'd go ahead and jump into the spring season. So I'm going to be talking about books coming out in April, May, and June. So these are specifically things that are either like I'm going to read them for sure, or they're on my radar because I would like to read them. So I'm going to try to keep it focused on that though. First few I'm going to talk about have already come out because we're like 2 weeks into April, but it's fine. The first one I want to talk about is called All We Were Promised by Ashton Lattimore, and that came out on April 2nd. And this one I think sounds interesting. It's a historical fiction. It says, Philadelphia, 1837. After Charlotte escaped from the crumbling White Oaks plantation down south, she expected freedom to feel different from her former life as an enslaved housemaid. After all, Philadelphia is supposed to be the birthplace of American liberty. Instead, she's locked away, playing servant to her white passing father, as they both attempt to hide their identities from slave catchers who would destroy their new lives. And I guess she's going to befriend an abolitionist and meet up with like one of the wealthiest black families in Philadelphia. So it sounds like a really interesting story I'm hoping to get to soon. I do have the ARC. I just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. The 9th of April was a big release day for me. 3 of my most exciting, like most anticipated releases came out. And I am beside myself right now because I want to read all of them, but I'm already reading a lot of things. So on the 9th, we had The Night War by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley, which I've been so excited to read. So this is a middle grade historical fiction set during World War II, and we're following a Jewish girl in France, I think, who is she's been sent away to like a boarding school where she'll be safe, but she wants to find her parents and know what happened to them. And I think there's some kind of magical element. I'm not entirely sure, but it's Kimberly Brubaker Bradley, so I'm expecting it to be really dynamic characters and just really good storytelling. Like, I've loved everything she's written, so I really cannot wait to read this. Then, also on the 9th, we have Against the Darkness by Kendar Blake. So this is the third and final book in the Buffy the Next Generation trilogy. So the first 2 books were excellent. I'm really excited to see what happens here. This is like a continuation of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where we're following Willow's daughter, Frankie, who is the newest Slayer to be called, and her adventures in Sunnydale, basically. Like, it's great. It's so much fun. It has a lot of castmates that, you know, we've known and loved. Like, Willow's there, Oz is there, Spike turns up. So, like, it's great fun. Then we also have Leigh Bardugo's newest book on the 9th, The Familiar. This, I'm just really intrigued. I want to read it, but like, I haven't read everything by Leigh Bardugo, so she's not like my favorite author or anything, but this one caught my interest because it's historical fantasy. And it's set during the Spanish Golden Age. And I think it has like Jewish folklore in it, I don't know. But I was just like really super intrigued by this book. I don't really know a whole lot more about it, but it sounds great and I'm looking forward to reading it. Okay, moving on now to April 16th. I have a couple books that are coming out then that I'm interested in. We have, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but I'm going to try, Shine Lendi, a prequel to Alatsaway. So I loved Alatsaway. I thought it was a really great story, and I just saw that there's a prequel. So I was like, okay, I need to read that. I don't know what it's about, but I think there's more to do with ghost dogs, which is one of the things that I especially loved about Alatsaway. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that. I don't know, I didn't pre-order this one. I'm still debating if I'm going to pre-order it or not. I'm trying really hard not to just buy all the things. I might wait and see if my library has it. So also on the 16th is another historical fiction. I don't know, is this one middle grade or YA? I'm not sure. But this one's called The Girl Who Fought Back. Vladka Mead and the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. that's what it's about. It's following one character's perspective through the events of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. I already own a bunch of books on this, so I didn't buy this one. I didn't pre-order it. I'm still deciding if I'm going to purchase it or find it at the library or through one of my various audiobook apps. And so it's set in the Warsaw Ghetto and sort of a biography kind of situation. It's told as a story, but it's the story of a real person who survived it. So, it says it's told through the lens of a Holocaust survivor and educator Vlad Kamid, who introduces readers to a crucial piece of history while heightening the persistence of bravery in the face of hate. So, it's like her role in the underground, how she was able to pass as a non-Jew, and the events of the uprising. So, I'm always looking for things like that, so I'm definitely going to try to read it. And then also out on the 16th is a middle grade memoir that I'm looking forward to reading. This is a graphic novel called Puzzled, a memoir about growing up with OCD by Pan Cook. You guys know I love middle grade memoirs. That's one of my favorite things to read, and especially if it's a graphic novel, that it's just something I really enjoy, and also that my daughter likes, so I'll probably end up buying this one so we can both read it. And it's just a memoir about what it's like to grow up with undiagnosed OCD. And then on the 23rd of April, we have The Backyard Bird Chronicles by Amy Tan, which has caught my eye. Yeah, this is a nonfiction book by Amy Tan with a foreword written by David Allen Sibley, who does all the Sibley Bird Guide stuff. And this is like her, I don't know what to call it, like a bunch of essays about bird watching, and like I'm in my bird watching era apparently, so like I need to read this. I was really excited when I saw the cover. It's stunning. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to getting my hands on a copy of this book. Also on the 23rd we have Kill Her Twice, which is by Stacey Lee. This is YA historical, and it's like a murder mystery set in 1930s Chinatown in Los Angeles. So I'm intrigued. I will say though, I've read one other Stacey Lee book and I did not like it. And I can't remember the name of it. And I don't know, I didn't like the writing style, I guess. It just didn't work for me. And every time she has a new book come out, I'm like, that sounds really good. So I'm not buying this one. I'm going to try to get it through my library, but I'm really curious about it because it sounds neat. It says it is set in the 30s in Chinatown. We're following an actress, Lulu Wang, who is a star of the silver screen and the pride of Chinatown. I think she's going to be murdered, and her sister is going to try to figure out what happened to her, essentially. So it sounds really interesting. I like reading about like celebrity and stars and that kind of thing. Like what is it called? The Seven Husbands. Yeah, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, like, is a book that I really enjoyed. So I like reading about that kind of thing. So I don't know if that's what this is going to be, but I'm intrigued. So now let's go to May. There's a whole lot in May. I'm a little bit, I don't know what I'm going to do here. There's a lot of books that I really want to read that come out in May. So the 7th is a pretty big release day. I feel like every month has like that one day where like all of the books that you want come out, and you have to like really decide which ones you need to pre-order and which ones you don't. So first up, I saw Vera Brosgol has a new book out, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's called Plain Jane and the Mermaid. I loved Anya's Ghost. What is the other one she wrote? Something about camping. Like a summer camp. I can't remember, but I really enjoyed that too. So I am curious. It's a mermaid story, I think. Kind of like a fairy tale, but flipped on its head a little bit, I think. And it's something to do with a mermaid. That's really all I know. But it's Vera Brosgol, so I'm sure it's going to be really good. We have The Ministry of Time by Callie and Bradley. And this is like a time travel-y story. I'm not sure yet if this is really a thing that I'm gonna like, but I'm very curious about it. So it says it's part time travel romance, part spy thriller, 100% multifaceted joyride. So it's set in like the near future, and it has to do with time travel. It says, yeah, okay, I'm just going to read the synopsis because I'm never going to be able to explain properly. So it says, in the near future, a civil servant is offered the salary of her dreams and is shortly afterward told what project she'll be working on. A recently established government ministry is gathering expats from across history to establish whether time travel is feasible for the body, but also for the fabric of space-time. She is tasked with working as a bridge, living with, assisting, and monitoring the expat known as 1847, or Commander Graham Gore. As far as history is concerned, Commander Gore died on Sir John Franklin's doomed 1845 expedition to the Arctic, so he's a little disoriented to be living with an unmarried woman who regularly shows her calves, surrounded by outlandish concepts such as washing machines, Spotify, and the collapse of the British Empire. So, like, we have the setup being that, like, there's time travel, there's a person out of time, like, adjusting to living in the modern world. I don't know. It could either be terrible or great, and I don't know which. So I'm super curious about it. Then also on the 7th, another of my favorite middle grade authors has a new book out. Codename Kingfisher by Liz Kessler. This is a story, I think, about a girl learning about her grandmother's experiences during World War II and her involvement in the Dutch resistance during the war, that sort of thing. I love stories, like, especially in middle grade, but like overall, just anything to do with like somebody learning about their family's history. I just think that's interesting. So I like the idea of it being a story told, and I think it's told through like letters and things, so that she's like reading and learning about what her grandmother did with the Dutch resistance during the war. So that sounds great. I'm gonna definitely be reading that. Like, I pre-ordered it. This is happening. Another book coming out by one of my favorite authors is The Year of Living Constitutionally, One Man's Humble Quest to Follow the Constitution's Original Meaning by A.J. Jacobs. Like, of course I'm going to read this. I read his Year of Living Biblically, and that was hysterical, so good, so insightful. What else did I read from him? I know I've read more than one book. Oh, I read Know It All, the one about him reading the entirety of the Encyclopedia Britannica, I think. I know I own It's All Relative, but I haven't read that yet. But anyway, this one, he is living a year in the life of following the Constitution. I don't know. I have no idea what this is going to be like, except I'm sure I'm going to find it entertaining, and maybe I'll learn something. Now, I'm going to be honest, this next one was sort of an impulse pre-order. I hope I don't regret it, but I saw this cover and read the little blurb about it and immediately needed it. So it's called The Sins on Their Bones by Laura R. Samatin. And I mean, just look at that. It's stunning. Like, that is such a me cover. Like, the skulls, the flower, it's beautiful. I love it. So this says it's set in a Jewish folklore-inspired reimagining of 19th century Eastern Europe. This queer dark fantasy debut pits two estranged husbands and a daring spy master on opposite sides of a civil war. That's all I need to know. Like, I haven't actually read the whole synopsis. I read that blurb, I saw the cover, and I hit buy now. Like, I need it. I have no idea I've never read anything by this author. I try not to do that too often. I try to focus my pre-orders on things that I know I'm gonna like, but like, sometimes you just gotta trust your gut and go for it. Okay, and the last book that's coming out on the 7th, like I said, there's a lot. It's called Death's Country by R.M. Romero. I've only read one book by this author, but I really liked it. And when I saw this, like, how could I not? This says it's Lake Lore meets Orpheus and Eurydice, when two Miami teens travel to the underworld to retrieve their girlfriend's soul. You had me at Orpheus and Eurydice, honestly. Like, I've been desperately looking for something that feels like Hadestown in book form. Like, I need that. That is the thing that I am actively looking for. So if anybody has a recommendation for me that is a book that feels like Hadestown, I would love to know. I need it. So that's really what I have here. That's why I pre-ordered this. I haven't actually read the whole synopsis. The cover's beautiful, and it's a queer Orpheus and Eurydice retelling, so yes, please. Then on the 14th, I have two books that I'm excited for. So the first one is The House That Horror Built by Christina Henry. I really want to read everything by Christina Henry at this point. I read The Ghost Tree last year and absolutely loved it. Like, this title just sounds great. It says it's a single mother working in the Gothic mansion of a reclusive horror director stumbles upon a terrifying secret in the captivating new novel. So, like, we have a person working in this Gothic mansion for a famous movie director who's made, like, their living creating creepy, scary movies. So, like, I don't know more than that, but that's an interesting premise. Like, I love anything to do with movies, with horror in general. Like, I just think that's going to be fun. Monica Hesse has a new book coming out called The Brightwood Code. So I think we're following a character who, 7 months ago, Etta was on the World War I front lines as one of the 200 Hello Girls, female switchboard operators employed by the U.S. Army. Now, she's spent her nights memorizing secret connection codes to stay ahead of the spying enemies, and her days connecting vital calls between platoons and base and generals, all trying to survive and win a brutal war. And now she's working as a telephone operator in D.C. It says, when her shift ends, Etta is barely hanging on, desperate to forget the circumstances that cut her time overseas short. When she receives a panicked phone call from someone who utters the fateful code word, Brightwood, she has no choice but to confront her past. With precious few clues and help only from Theo, a young man bearing his own World War I scars, Etta races to uncover what secrets may have followed her across the ocean. So, that sounds great. Like, I don't see a lot of books that are specifically about World War I for this age group. Like, I feel like World War II is overcovered and World War I doesn't get enough. They were both interesting time periods. So this is sort of like a during and after kind of story. Because I think we're going to get, like, her time during World War I and her time after, while she's, like, unraveling this mystery. So it sounds like it's going to be great. Like, I've enjoyed Monica Hesse's books in the past, so I think this will be good. So then we have a couple books coming out on the 21st. We have a Stephen King. We have You Like It Darker. I think this is going to be a short story collection. I don't really know much else, but I'm probably going to end up owning that because I have a pretty big Stephen King collection, so I try to get as many of his books as I can. This next one, I'm not going to lie, I'm intrigued based on the title alone. Like, the title is what caught my eye. I haven't pre-ordered it, but I might. It's called How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. This is by Django Wexler. I don't know anything else about it, but the tag on the title already has me, but then the tagline says Groundhog Day meets Guardians of the Galaxy. In this laugh-out-loud fantasy take about a young woman who, tired of defending humanity from the Dark Lord, decides to become the Dark Lord herself. Say no more. Like, that is all I really need. I'm definitely interested. All right, and this next one, I'm really intrigued, but I won't let myself buy it because I haven't read anything by this author yet, and I own it. So this is Goddess of the River by Vaishnavi, I think Vaishnavi Patel. I definitely want to read Kai Kai first because I own it and I haven't gotten to it yet. And if I like that, I'm definitely going to probably read The Goddess of the River because I am always a sucker for any kind of mythology retelling. And this one is a reimagining of the story of Ganga, Goddess of the River, and her doomed mortal son. And I don't know a lot of Hindu mythology, to be fair, so I'm always excited to learn more things. So this, and like the cover is gorgeous, so I want to buy it so bad, but I'm not letting myself because I need to read Kai Kai first. Okay, then we're moving on to the 28th. So I have 2 books come out on May 28th. The first one is The Goddess of Warsaw by Lisa Barr. I've been wanting to read a Lisa Barr for a little while now, and so when I saw this title, I immediately hit pre-order. So, like, this one sounds like it'll be the one for me. So this one is about the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, I believe. Yeah, it says, The Goddess of Warsaw is an enthralling tale of a legendary Hollywood screen goddess with a dark secret about her life in the Warsaw Ghetto. When the famous actress is threatened by someone from her past, she must put her skills into play to protect herself, her illustrious career, and those she loves then and now. So, I don't know a whole lot else, but that sounds like a book I'm gonna like, so. And then Heather Fawcett has a new book out called A Galaxy of Whales, and this just sounds like something I'm going to enjoy. This is a like contemporary middle grade story about best friends, and there's some kind of like a photo contest with a big cash award that the main character wants to enter, and I guess her friend, her neighbor and nemesis Jasper is also planning to enter this contest. So you've got these 2 kids pitting against each other. It's set in the summer. It's about friendship and feuds, adventure and whale watching. And it just sounds like it's going to be really good. I don't know. I've enjoyed Heather Fawcett's writing in the past. I really love her writing. I need to read more things. So this is definitely a book I'm going to be picking up. So now let's move on to June. I actually don't have that many books on my radar coming out in June. I don't know how, there's always like 1 month in the year where there's like nothing. So I think one year it was July. There was just like no books coming out in July. The first one on my radar is called Shelterwood by Lisa Wingate. This is a historical fiction inspired by the untold history of women pioneers who fought to protect children caught in the storm of land barons, hungry for power and oil wealth. So it's set in Oklahoma in like 1909, I think. Oh, it's got 2 timelines. Okay, so it's set in Oklahoma in 1909 and 1990. And we're following like 2 different characters. I think someone's uncovering the past about what happened. So it's definitely intriguing me. Like, I haven't read anything by this author before, but I do own and really want to read Before We Were Yours. So I might try to read that first. And then if I like that a lot, I might go ahead and get myself a copy of this one. Okay, this one was another impulse. I pre-ordered this. It's called Do What Godmother Says by L.S. Stratton. This is another author I've never read from, so which is why I'm like, should I pre-order this? But it says it's a modern day writer and a Harlem Renaissance artist connected by a painting with a deadly secret in this gripping dual timeline gothic thriller. So I'm excited because it's a gothic thriller. It's dual timeline, which I generally enjoy, and it's like about an author and an artist, so like I think this has a lot of potential. I'm hoping that it's a good book. We'll see, but this one definitely has me intrigued. So also out on the 11th is The 10th Mistake of Hank Hooperman by Jennifer Choldenko, who is an author that I've enjoyed in the past. This is middle grade, and it just sounds like it'll be great. This is a story, it says readers will be rooting for a happy ending for Hank in this gripping story of a boy struggling to hold his family together when his mom doesn't come home. It sounds like it's going to be like one of those like heartwarming / heart-wrenching stories. 11-year-old Hank's mom doesn't come home. He takes care of his toddler sister Boo like he always does, but it's been a week now. They are out of food, and Mom has never stayed away this long, and Hank knows he needs help. So he and Boo seek out the stranger listed in their emergency contact. But asking for help has consequences. It means social workers, a new school, having to answer questions about his mom that he's been trying to keep a secret. And if they can't find his mom soon, Hank and Boo may end up in different foster homes and he could lose everything. So I just think, I don't know, I have a soft spot in my heart for like hard-hitting middle grade. That's one of my favorite things to read. So like I feel like I feel like this is going to be a Sybil's finalist, honestly. It's a popular author. It's a hard-hitting contemporary, like that. I feel like this is going to end up being a Sybil's finalist, so I'm going to need to read it anyway. I might as well get my hands on a copy sooner than later. Also, on June 11th is another one of my most anticipated books of the year, and that is Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I've decided that Paul Tremblay is one of my absolute favorite authors. I've loved everything I've read so far, and this sounds like it's going to be great. It is a chilling twist on the cursed film genre. And it says, in June of 1993, a group of young guerrilla filmmakers spent 4 weeks making Horror Movie, a notorious, disturbing art house horror flick. The weird part, only 3 of the film's scenes were ever released to the public. But Horror Movie has nevertheless grown a rabid fan base. 3 decades later, Hollywood is pushing for a big-budget reboot. And the man who played the thin kid, the only surviving cast member, he remembers it all too well, the secrets buried within the original screenplay, the bizarre events of the filming, and the dangerous crossed lines on the set that resulted in tragedy. As memories flood back in, the boundaries between reality and film, past and present, start to blur. But he's going to help remake the film, even if it means navigating a world of cynical producers, egomaniacal directors, and surreal fan conventions. Demons of the past be damned. But at what cost? Like, that sounds so good. Like, I'm excited for this. I'm going to read anything Paul Tremblay writes, but this definitely sounds like a book that was, like, written just for me. Like, it's definitely up my alley. Then on the 18th is Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books. This is by Kirsten Miller. I've not read anything by this author, I don't think, but this title definitely has me intrigued. So it says Beverly Underwood and her arch-enemy Lula Dean live in the tiny town of Troy, Georgia, where they were both born and raised. Now Beverly is on the school board, and Lula has become a local celebrity by embarking on the mission to rid the public libraries of all inappropriate books, none of which she's actually read. To replace the pornographic books she's challenging at the local public library, Lula starts her own lending library in front of her home, a cute wooden hutch with glass doors and neat rows of worthy literature that she is sure the town's readers need. What Lula doesn't know is that a local troublemaker has stolen her wholesome books, removed their dust jackets, and restocked Lula's library with banned books, literary classics, gay romances, black history, witchy spell books, Judy Blume novels, and more. And one by one, neighbors who borrow books from Lula Dean's library find their lives changed in unexpected ways. So that sounds like such a great premise. Like, I'm definitely going to need to read this. I've read several like middle grade books that were about like banned books and that kind of thing. I haven't read anything for an adult audience that is on that topic. So when I saw this title, I was like, immediately I need that. So I'm definitely going to be getting my hands on a copy of this. And then the last book I want to talk about that comes out in June is out on June 25th, and that is Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. It's been a while since I read anything by Josh Malerman, and this one just sounds interesting, but I'm not sure yet. Like, I'm on the fence. I haven't pre-ordered. I'm still thinking about it because this could either be amazing or awful. I don't know, because I think this is like a creepy kid book, which doesn't always work for me, but I'm super curious. So it says it's a chilling horror about a haunting told from the perspective of a young girl whose troubled family is targeted by an entity that she calls Other Mommy. I don't always like or enjoy when a book is told from the perspective of a child, unless it's like a middle grade. When it's middle grade, it feels authentic. When it's like a horror, it always feels weird somehow. Like, I don't know. It's rare that I enjoy that. But at the same time, this does have me intrigued. It says to 8-year-old Bella, Her family is her world. There's Mommy, Daddo, and Grandma Ruth, but there is also Other Mommy, a malevolent entity who asks her every day, "Can I go inside your heart?" When horrifying incidents around the house signal that Other Mommy is growing tired of asking Bella the question over and over, Bella understands that unless she says yes, her family will soon pay. Other Mommy is getting restless, stronger, and bolder. Only the bonds of family can keep Bella safe, but other incidents show cracks in her parents' marriage. The safety Bella relies on is about to unravel, but Other Mommy needs an answer. So, I don't know yet. This one has me sitting on the fence trying to decide, am I going to pre-order this? Am I going to wait and read some reviews first? I don't know yet. I don't know. So, I don't think it'll be bad. It's Josh Malerman, but also creepy kid stuff doesn't always work for me. So those are all of the things that are on my radar for the spring. That's a lot of books. I'm probably not going to read most of them until like next year, the year after. I'm bad at keeping up with new releases, but I am going to make an effort to get to as many of these as I can. So, are there any books coming out this spring that you are excited about? Let me know down below in the comments and we can chat about it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye!